Hello and welcome to Synthnostate, Crusaders of the Tinfoil Hat. This is basically my entry into the Deus XCOM category, a turn-based conspiracy simulation PC role-playing game. Here's an older version with better graphics than the current one, so I'm going to show that off first. I got this level looking pretty much how I want it. Dark, not dingy enough, but I might have to do. Okay, we got ourselves a fight here. Okay, that was too easy. Newer version's harder. Let's just loot his body. Now if we were really playing the game for real, this would be a good score. We would not have a machete yet. But I'll just take that now because it looks pretty cool. Here's the inventory screen in this old version. Tells you a little bit about weapons and such. And it has smartphones. You have to ditch these after the early part of the game because the government will use them to track you. And aliens run the government, at least in this game. We've got a few versions. Anyway, that's the old version. Alt F4. Here's the new one. This is the latest. Looks better in some ways. Now let's try combat. Notice some of the graphics aren't as good. We don't have the gunfire animations yet. But yeah, we're working on important things for now. Come on, shoot. Ah. Not enough AP. We gotta let them attack us. Turning off screen enemy. Pay no attention to this. Alright, we got one. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, for some reason I have a helicopter in here. Later in the game, like in the end game, you may be able to commandeer this, and a UFO. Just for comparison, here's another level we were looking at in the first version. So, notice how the lighting's all screwed up. Oh yeah, and the animation. Yeah, but we'll get to that. So that's where it is now. And oh yeah, we have an better inventory. I just need to make these line up, and it's an expandable inventory now. So notice how you have these accessory slots, so you can get backpacks and things to hold extra gear. And also you have your guns, clips or magazines, whatever you call them, your ammo, scope, suppressor, all that stuff goes in these slots. So if you take that, if you give that to somebody else, then it goes over to them. They get the extra slots. So we're going to make that look nicer soon enough. But that's the direction we're going. Here's the character screen. Notice you have a lot of sliders to control body proportions. Some of them need a little work still, but we're getting there. Got a better color picker. Aliens. We also have a character creation screen in this version. You get to choose all your classes. I've added classes because because with a party-based RPG, just doing sort of a classless Fallout Arcanum type build, that's just not going to work. We need more differentiation between all your characters so that each one has sort of a specialized role. Or if you don't want to, if you want to have everybody all be the same, that's going to be a challenge. That's always fun. Well, if you know what you're doing. Anyway. Now, you may have heard that I'm using a custom engine. This is true. Is that a ton of work? Is it holding me back? Not that much. I could use an engine like Godot or Unreal. Those are great. But there are a lot of libraries that we can use with custom code. We've got OpenGL, Vulkan. We don't have to reinvent those. Let's see. I've got a JavaScript interpreter, audio library. This mini audio is great. Works on all the platforms, all the audio interfaces. Galagen, that's for OpenGL. GLFW, of course. We've got a math library here. And we're also using this. We've got the TrueType, the image libraries, and these data structures. Dynamic arrays and hash maps. Basically like C++ vectors and maps. And then we use Blender. So I've got an export script. It's a batch exporter. You just run a script and it just, any file that's changed, it goes through and takes all the objects, converts them into a binary format that my engine loads, and we just use these Python structure and array modules to do all that work. Works pretty good. It's kind of hard to read, but whatever. Now I only have about 6,000 lines of C code here. Well, maybe it's going to be about 10,000 or so by the time it's done. And that's just the core engine. It renders the graphics, and the 3D graphics, and it has a custom GUI. Most of that's written in JavaScript. All the game scripting and the high level parts are all done in JavaScript. All those scripts are included with the game, so it's pretty good for modding. And I mean, I suppose I could use something like Godot, but it's got its own scripting language, and JavaScript is a pretty well-known standardized language. It's not the greatest, but it works well with C. It looks like C. I think C and JavaScript are good languages, in my opinion. I tried using C++ in the first version, but I mean, it was starting to drive me kind of crazy. And I did not have a good scripting language in that version. So now we're on the right track. And as I said, these scripts are all included in the game. I'm not going to obfuscate them or anything. People can mod them all they want. And I will include some mod support too. So, just to keep things organized so you can just drop mods in. No, I could just use something like Godot. I've experimented with that for a sequel, which I may use this for an action type RPG because I'm not doing my own 3D physics. That's for sure. I think. Now if I were to use Godot, I'd have this whole interface to use. In my own engine, I don't have that. I just run this script, build data. If I had changed anything in Blender, it would just export that and everything else is in-game editable. So the characters, items, dialogue. So basically I just create the scene layout, doors, stairs, a few items like that in Blender, and everything else is done in-game. About this subtitle, Crusaders of the Tinfoil Hat, that's just a reminder to myself not to take this too seriously. There was an old game called Wizardry 7, Crusaders of the Dark Savant. You may have heard of it. I don't know. It's pretty old, but these guys didn't take themselves too seriously. They put a lot of random stuff in this game, and they got it done. They didn't spend years and years trying to make it perfect. They just threw all this stuff in there, got it done, came out 2 years after Wizardry 6, and it was a lot of fun. Anyway, that's enough of my rambling for now. I'll try to do a low-effort dev video every week and see if that's enough to get noticed on the internet, which is so much harder than writing a 3D game engine from scratch. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.